Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And today we're going to talk about something called a sweet tax, which is kind of ironic because we began the month by talking about pie, which can be quite sweet. It kind of depends on where you have it. But if you're in the United States and you have pie, it will be quite sweet. Well, now they're talking about having a tax on sweet kinds of food. Because I guess people are eating too much sugar. They're having too many foods with sugar in them.
Mostly drinks.
Drinks, indeed. The bubble tea, of course, is one culprit, but there are others as well. And they're talking about this here in Taiwan. Should there be a sweet tax to get people to consume less of these sweet beverages?
As we often do when it's a controversial topic or subject, we're going to give you some of the positive parts of this and the negatives so you can make your own decision. It's kind of a fun thing to have a debate over if you're in class because you can take different sides of the issue and use your new English words to talk about it. First, though, guys, we're going to read through day one. Stay tuned.
Sweet tax, bitter debate. Taiwan's health dilemma. In Taiwan, grabbing a bubble tea after class is part of many teenagers' daily routine. Yet behind the joy of these sugary drinks lies a growing health concern. These beverages have been linked to a rise in health issues, especially among teenagers. To tackle this sweet crisis, some lawmakers are proposing a sugar tax. A sugar tax is essentially an additional charge imposed on sugary drinks or high-sugar foods. Its aim is similar to that of a tobacco tax. By increasing the price of these products, it encourages consumers to buy them less often or switch to healthier alternatives. This tax system has been adopted in dozens of countries, including Mexico, the UK, and parts of the US. The push for sugar taxes stems from alarming health statistics. The World Health Organization, WHO, recommends that daily sugar intake should not exceed 10% of total calorie intake. However, many popular beverages exceed this limit. A 700-milliliter full sugar bubble tea contains over 60 grams of sugar, surpassing the recommended daily intake for adults. Excessive sugar consumption leads to obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. It also negatively affects teenagers' concentration and mood. In many countries, diabetes has become a leading cause of death, with direct medical costs reaching billions annually. The taxation approach works because it targets human behavior through economic incentives. When sugary drinks become more expensive, consumers tend to shift toward sugar-free alternatives or water. San Francisco, U.S. provides a compelling example. Sugary drink sales dropped by approximately 34% 2 years after a sugar tax was implemented. Similarly, the UK saw a 28.8% reduction in sugar content per 100 milliliters in soft drinks after introducing its sugar tax in 2018. Okay, it's time for us to talk about the contents of our article for today. We're talking about a sweet tax or a tax on sweet food. And specifically, I think we're focusing on those sugary beverages. Of course, those beverage shops are all over the place in Taiwan. And if you feel like it, especially during the hot summer, it's a great place to go to order yourself a nice drink and enjoy it with friends while you're playing with your phone or whatever. But it is a bitter debate. If something's bitter, in this particular case, it just means people are taking sides, and when they debate this or when they talk about it, oh, they're nasty. They call each other names. They're really mean to each other. Of course, we have bitter debates in the legislature all the time, both here in Taiwan and in the USA. And it's a bitter debate here, kind of interesting because we're using the word bitter with the word sweet. They're kind of, opposites here, but it's a bitter debate, and it's all about the dilemma here in Taiwan regarding health. A dilemma means you have to make a choice, but you just don't know which one to choose from. If you choose one, you have to give up the other one and vice versa.
Yeah, if you have a dilemma, there really isn't a win-win in that particular situation. whichever way you choose or whichever way you go, there's some bad things to that particular choice. So it's kind of hard. It's going to make some people happy and other people not very happy. I've always wondered why we have so many drink stands and drink shops in Taiwan. So many more than, say, for example, where we grew up, there aren't drink shops like that. In fact, they're kind of special if they have any drink shop in a city. But here, it's very popular. I notice a lot of the young people, the younger generation, they often will maybe have a quick lunch, but they always go and get that drink. And I always want to say, ooh, that's so much sugar. Are you sure you want to drink that? But it seems to be pretty popular in Taiwan. It's something we need to be aware of.
Yeah, a lot of those drink shops have lines of people waiting for their orders to be ready and stuff like that. So I get the idea that it's something you have after a meal. So maybe it's kind of like dessert or something sweet after a meal. But I could be wrong there. But here we're talking about Taiwan. And in Taiwan, grabbing a bubble tea after class is part of many teenagers' daily routine. Here, bubble tea, of course, can also be called bubble milk tea. And, of course, it has the tapioca balls and the red tea, or the black tea, I guess I should say, with lots of sugar and milk in there. And, of course, lots of teenagers have this after class. It's a routine for them. Hey, let's go get ourselves a bubble milk tea. It'll taste really great after a tough day at school of studying and playing basketball and things like that. Let's get that tea.
Yep, they often do. I live on a pretty busy street, Heping East Road, Heping Donglu, and there are a lot of drink shops. I'm across the street from a college, and so I see a lot of young kids standing in line for their drinks. And it's not just after lunch, it's even during the middle of the afternoon, at night. They always seem to be kind of busy. I'm surprised that there are that many drink shops that can still be profitable. We have so many, but they stay in business.
I have to admit that bubble milk tea is tasty, although I think if I ever were to order one, I'd probably have a few drinks and say, okay, it's tasty, but I've had enough. There's just too much sugar in this drink here. Although I think they allow you to control the amount of sugar you can
that's
put
good.
in.
Yeah.
I think. I'm not quite sure. I haven't ordered one for quite some time. But of course, teenagers like to drink them, mostly young people. Yet, still, behind the joy of these sugary drinks lies a growing health concern. So it sounds great to have that drink, but of course, we have to think about these drinks in terms of their health benefits or their, what's the opposite of a benefit? A detriment
or drawback,
something? A drawback or a disadvantage, I guess.
Downside.
Downside. If you have too many of those sugary drinks, they can cause some health problems.
Yep, they can. So that's what's behind the joy of drinking these sugary drinks. That's what we call them. Sugary drinks. Can be pop. It can be the bubble milk tea. I would get the, what do you call this? Bing xia. That's what I get in the summer. And they're awfully sweet. I stopped getting them quite a few years ago. But they are delicious. But behind that deliciousness or joy lies a growing health concern. A concern is something you're worried about. And of course, we're concerned about our bodies and our health. These beverages, that's what a drink is called. It's a more formal word than a drink. A beverage, would you like a beverage? A soft drink is another way to talk about pop or soda. If someone offers you a soft drink, it's not alcoholic, just so you know. But a beverage could be alcoholic. So a beverage covers everything. They've been linked or connected to an increase or a rise in health issues, especially among teenagers. And teenagers should be the healthiest people out there. They're young. They haven't had a lot of years to mess up their bodies. They should be really healthy. So we need to watch out because our teenagers are going to be the adults of the future.
I should say that Taiwan has gotten better that way. It used to be where you went to buy tea and you told them, I'd like to have some tea without sugar. They would laugh at you. What do you mean no sugar in your tea? We always have sugar in our tea, unless it's oolong tea, of course. But nowadays, of course, you got the choice and you can pick the amount of ice and the amount of sugar you have in your drink. But it's still a problem. And so to tackle this sweet crisis, some lawmakers are proposing A sugar tax. And as you can imagine, it will be extra money that you have to pay if you order a certain kind of drink that I guess would discourage you from drinking so many of those drinks.
Yeah, we're calling it the sweet crisis. A crisis is an emergency situation where you have to make some decisions to get out of it, but it's a lot of intense difficulty or trouble or danger, and we're calling it the sweet crisis. So some lawmakers, those are people who are in your legislative yuan here, the legislature, the legislators are the people. Lawmakers is an easier way to talk about that. They are suggesting or proposing what we're calling a sugar tax. I hate taxes of all kinds, so I'm not very happy about taxing people because the government gets more money and the people who have no money get poorer, but they're trying to change people's behavior through economic incentives or punishment in this case because they're taking more of your money.
Indeed. It's unfortunate that this has to happen. I wish this could be decided on the open market and, companies could introduce products that actually taste really good without all that sugar in there.
No, because they want you to be addicted to sugar, right?
Exactly, right. So, yeah, if you get them addicted to something, then they'll come back and buy more. It's like tobacco and things like that. But what is a sugar tax? Well, basically, 基本上, essentially, it's an additional charge imposed on sugary drinks or high sugar foods. So here we've got the verb to impose, and that just means you're forced to do something. You have to pay this tax because the government thinks that too many people are drinking these kinds of drinks, getting fat, and putting a burden on the health system. So they're trying to do something about those problems.
Yeah, that's what they say at least. Who knows what they do with that money because they don't seem to make the world better. To impose also means just to force something on somebody. Like you said, this is force somebody, a tax on someone because you believe a certain way and they don't get a say in anything. They don't get the choice. It just has to be it just has to happen to them. The government could impose a new tax on gas or water or whatever we use. They can raise our taxes. You could also say, hey, don't impose your opinion on me. Don't force your opinion on me. I have my own way of thinking. So they're going to impose this additional charge on sugary drinks or high sugar foods. I think we're mainly focusing on drinks, but don't forget the foods out there that are high in sugar as well. If you want to say high in sugar and make it shorter, you just use that hyphen and go high sugar and then whatever you're talking about. Or we often just use that term sugary drinks to talk about pop, soda, bubble milk tea, any kind of drink where you're just drinking down lots of calories and tons of sugar.
Okay, so here again we're talking about the sugar tax, and its aim or its goal, what it wants to accomplish, is similar to that of a tobacco tax. By increasing the price of these products, it encourages consumers to buy them less often or switch to healthier alternatives. So here we've got a tobacco tax, of course. If you smoke, you probably know that cigarettes get more and more expensive every year. I used to smoke many, many years ago. I've quit for many, many years, but I compared the price of cigarettes nowadays with what they cost in the past. And my goodness, the price difference is huge. And inflation can't be the only thing that accounts for that. So, of course, they've added lots of tax to tobacco. It's, of course, an easy way for governments to get money because people are addicted to tobacco, cigarettes, and they keep on paying it. And it's similar here because they want to encourage the consumers to not smoke so often and to not drink those drinks so often and switch to healthier alternatives like water or tea without so much sugar in it or no sugar at all.
Yeah, but can you imagine offering a younger person, teenager or a child, would you rather have water or pop or this bubble milk tea? They always are going to choose the sweet thing because for some reason we love sweet things. It makes our tongue and our body happy.
Well, it's quick energy if you're young. You've got
True.
a lot of energy. You want to play ball and stuff like that. So, of course, they like sweet drinks, and this tax system has been adopted in dozens of countries, including Mexico, the UK, and parts of the US. So this has been tried in other countries around the world, but not yet in Taiwan. We'll talk about that in just a couple of seconds, but right now we're going to take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是 Patrick. 今天讲解的是 Sweet Tax, Better Debate, Taiwan's Health Dilemma. 好，那这篇在讲的呢，就是台湾到底要不要征糖税的议题。这是我们第一天的课文内容。我想请问所有的听众，大家喜不喜欢喝含糖饮料啊？在台湾到处都可以看见手摇饮店，便利商店的架上也到处都是含糖饮品。虽然别有风味，可是糖分摄取过多会引发健康危机哦。那目前政府想出的解决之道是课征糖税。好，那我们一起来看学习重点吧。请看到第一段第二个句子 Yet behind the joy of these sugary drinks lies a growing health concern. 好，意思是说，然而呢，在这些含糖饮料带来的欢乐背后，却隐藏日益严重的健康隐忧。我想先请同学看一下这个句型是不是不太寻常？没有错，怎么说不太寻常呢？原来啊，这个副词片语 behind the joy of these sugary drinks它放在了动词的前面，在标示地方场所。一般我们看到这个介系词 behind 或 in front of 这一类的，我们会说这是介系词，那它所做的这个片语在整个句子里面呢有副词的作用嘛。好，那可是呢它放在动词这个 lies 前面到底是什么意思啊？这个呢就是我们讲的地方副词片语倒装。好，那它为什么要做倒装呢？最主要就是有强调的作用。好，原本的句型结构，我们把它倒装以后，会让人家觉得不寻常，所以就会有强调的效果，而且呢会有戏剧性、文学性。因为一般而言，多数的句子都是主词加动词嘛，然后再加上呢地方副词片语啊、时间副词片语啊等等。那这个特别跟人家不一样，就会引起呢读者的注意，那也比较有文学性、戏剧性。好，那而且也让我们的语气比较连贯，因为它前面说 yet 但是嘛，那读者就知道但是后面还有呢对比的话要说。好，所以这边意思不变，那句型请同学特别的注意。再来请同学看到的是第四个句子词语搭配 to tackle the sweet crisis。为了呢要解决这个所谓的甜蜜危机，当然指的就是含糖量过高这件事情。那动词 tackle 搭配 crisis， 为了要解决这项危机。好，再来呢，请同学看到最后一个 a sugar tax， 就算是呢我们整篇文章所要谈的主题了，糖税。再来请同学看到第二段第一个句子，一样讲一下呢，就是我们的词语搭配。好，糖税到底是什么？第一个句子给出了解释，那后面有讲，原来是 impose an additional charge on sugary drinks or high sugar drinks。好，请特别注意的是 impose 跟 charge 这个词语搭配哦。我们说对什么苛征什么，或比方说对谁处以罚金。其实动词我们都可以用这个 impose 这个动词，像比方说 a fine may be imposed， 原来这是可以呢可以罚锾，可以罚金的。再来呢，我们请看到第二个句子 Its aim is similar to that of a tobacco tax。 这里的这个 that 所指的呢就是前面的 aim。 那请同学特别注意 that 它可以代替同类单数的名词，aim 这边应该是单数对吧？好，所以这里呢我们用的是 that。 那复数你会说该怎么办？复数的话呢就是用 those。 好，再来呢请同学看到第三个句子。好，那这一套税制其实台湾不是独创的， This tax system has been adopted in dozens of countries。 其他国家有好几十个国家都有这个税制。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. It's our food unit and day 1 of our sweet tax bitter debate, Taiwan's health dilemma. We're talking about how there's a growing concern over the health of our teenagers in particular, but just people in general in Taiwan who are consuming a lot of sugary drinks or high sugar foods, how it's affecting health, and what we can do to manipulate or change that behavior. Sometimes governments will impose taxes on people to change the way they buy things and the things they do and consume. I know in China, they don't want the kids playing video games, so there's a limit on how many hours a day they can play. But of course, they don't have the freedom there that we do in Taiwan. We're a free society. We're democratic. So maybe the government can impose or force us to pay an extra tax on sweet drinks. Maybe it will stop people from buying them so often. But I found, Tom, that if someone wants something badly enough, like cigarettes, they don't care how much they cost.
Indeed. And in any case here, we're going to continue talking about this sugar tax. And some people want this law to be passed. So we've got people who are pushing for this tax. They want it to be passed and implemented. The push for sugar taxes stems from alarming health statistics. So why do we need this sugar tax? Well, it comes from, or it has its origins in the fact that there are alarming health statistics all over the world. So to stem from just means it's based on that idea. It comes from that idea. So it's basically coming from the fact that there are these alarming health statistics. Statistics, that's kind of hard to say. Statistics, that just refers to a bunch of numbers, a bunch of data to reflect trends in society, how fat people are and how that relates to how many sugary drinks they have a day or something like that. So these are health statistics, like heart attacks and diabetes and things like that. And yes, these are alarming. We should be very worried about these things because people are not as healthy as they used to be.
They aren't. You can look around and see that. It's pretty obvious if you look with your eyes at what's going on out there. Now, the World Health Organization or the WHO, they recommend that daily sugar intake, how much you take in, would be your intake. The amount of something could be sugar. It could be the amount of air you take in to your body. Your oxygen intake is talked about in the hospital if they're checking you for that. It should not exceed or go over 10% of your total calories in a day. That's what they're looking for. That's their guidance. Of course, it was the WHO and governments that gave us our food pyramid that told us to eat more carbs, which added to the sugar that we consume every day. So I don't know how much we want to trust them, but I do know that sugar feeds cancer. That's not good either. So you want to reduce the amount of sugar you have. Even if you're young, guys, someday it will add up. So you might want to take a look at how much sugar you're consuming every day and do what's best for your body. Who cares about the tax?
Right. So the WHO recommends only 10% of total calorie intake in terms of sugar intake. However, many popular beverages exceed or go beyond this limit. So, yeah, when you have your cup of bubble milk tea, you've already gone way over your daily recommended amount.
Yeah.
And my goodness, it probably could last you several days. You probably can't have another drink like that for another month or so. And so, yes, indeed, we've got this large-sized drink here. Of course, they have the large-sized drinks here. A 700-milliliter full sugar bubble tea contains over 60 grams of sugar. That's a lot, surpassing the recommended daily intake for adults. So, again, we've got the word surpass here, which is the same meaning as exceed. It just goes beyond that limit. It's more than a certain amount.
That's a really large amount of liquid. One of the things I was watching last night was that Japan has very small portions in drink sizes, and that helps keep them thin. Only 4% of their population is obese. 40% of the population in America is obese. It's a big difference. So look at the size of the cup that you're buying. I've noticed that bubble milk tea cup is quite large, so it's got more sugar than, say, a smaller cup. Maybe you could ask for a smaller cup when you order. But full sugar means they don't reduce any of it, has all the sugar possible. And 60 grams of sugar is a ton of sugar. And as Tom said, surpass means the same as exceed, goes beyond something. Excessive sugar, too much sugar, leads to obesity, being overweight to a point where it's unhealthy for your body. Diabetes, where you have too much insulin in your body. You don't want to take medicine, right? So don't get diabetes. And cardiovascular means your heart and your lungs combined. Once you get diabetes, it starts hurting your other organs. So it's something to consider right now.
I should also mention that in the U.S., portions are huge as well.
Totally.
So if you go to a convenience store or something like that and order a drink or something, my goodness, you're going to have the 16-ounce cups or the 20-ounce cups or something.
24-ounce, yeah.
They're just huge portions there. So be careful if you're in the USA as well. Although I like the black tea without sugar. That's okay to drink, at least I think so. And let's continue here. It says it also negatively affects teenagers' concentration and mood. So if you have too much sugar, you won't be able to concentrate in school, or you will not be able to concentrate on that video game on your phone. So remember that. It can also affect your mood. You might get angry easily or start arguments with your friends or family more easily than you would normally. So yeah, too much sugar can make you go crazy.
And in many countries, diabetes has become a leading cause of death with direct medical costs. It's going to cost your medical system, the healthcare system, billions annually. Now, the taxation approach, using taxes or raising taxes on drinks or sweet food, becomes some way to target human behavior through economic incentives. An incentive is something someone does to encourage you to do something. It's a motivation that is likely to get you to do something, an incentive. So it's an economic incentive. Economic, they're both pronounced in that way in America and in the UK. Economic, both correct. Economic just refers to the economy and how an economy makes its money and functions.
Right. So, of course, we've got economic incentives, things that will encourage you to do something. And when sugary drinks become more expensive, consumers tend to shift toward sugar-free alternatives or water. Okay, I did that myself. I did not need to have this economic incentive to drink non-sugary drinks. I like tea without sugar in it, or even water with a little bit of lemon, kind of squeezed into it. That can be quite tasty as well.
Yeah.
But some people need that incentive to shift or to change to the sugar-free alternatives or even water.
That's right. So the U.S., San Francisco, is something that they studied, and it provides a compelling example. Compelling means something that is very interesting to you or even convincing to you. They did some research on this, and when they added a sugary drink sales tax, it dropped the consumption of sugary drinks by 34%. Now, approximately means around that number. So, we're not sure the exact number, but this happened 2 years after a sugar tax was implemented or put into place here. Similarly, or a similar example here, the UK saw almost a 30% reduction in sugar content per 100 milliliters in soft drinks, pop, soda, after they introduced a sugar tax in 2018. So here are two places that implemented a sugar tax, and they saw some good results. I know in New York City, they did the same thing for a while, but so many people complained that they had to reverse it. Change it.
So it kind of depends on the place. It might work in some places and not in others. And, of course, here in Taiwan, there is no sugar tax, but people are still debating it. What do you think? Well, we'll try to answer that question in our program next time, but right now, we're going to turn things over to our Chinese teacher.
接下来呢，请看到第3段第一个句子，我们看一个动词片语 stems from。 那为什么会有人要推糖税？后面讲出原因了 ，stems from 起源于这个推动的起源于就是有一些让我们看到触目惊心的跟健康相关的统计数字。好，再来请同学看到第5个句子。第5个句子开头这个形容词很重要 ，excessive sugar consumption。好，如果呢糖分摄取过量 ，excessive 就是等于是过分的，和它相反的呢就是适量的，对吧？适量的是 moderate，M-O-D-E-R-A-T-E。excessive 是过量的，会导致什么问题 ？leads to， 请画起来，会导致后面的这些健康问题哦。那前面第5个句子呢，都是在说这个生理的问题嘛。那接下来含糖类如果摄取过量的话，除了生理问题，其实也会影响心理还有认知。这边我们看到就是会影响青少年的 concentration， 会影响他们的专注，还有呢 mood 就是他们的心情哦。所以心理、认知这方面都会受到影响。那再来请看到第4段，那到底为什么要透过苛征糖税来解决健康问题呢？因为这会让消费者有一个经济的诱因 economic incentives。economic incentives 指的就是经济的诱因。再来请看到第2个句子，在不定词后面 consumers tend to shift toward。 好，这里呢请把 shift toward 画起来，动词我们用的是 shift， 可是其实跟第2段第2行所讲的 it encourages consumers to buy less often or switch to， 这里的 switch to 是一样的所指的都是转换。好，那再来请同学呢看到第4个句子，要特别注意的就是我们讲苛征糖税，动词到底用哪些呢？这里我们再看到可以用 introduce sugar tax， 那前面也有讲 impose 也是可以的，那甚至于呢第3个句子也有讲到 implement 也是可以的，所以这3个动词都可以跟税搭配 implement、impose、introduce。以上就是我们针对这个单元第1天课文内容所做的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
That's all for today. Please join us again next time for another edition of our program. Also, check out our content on YouTube and Facebook. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.